This is a quick sequence for spinal health and mobility. We begin in an all-four base, hands and shins on the floor, and we start to move into some cat-cow motions with the spine. We'll inhale as we open up the chest, drawing the eyes up, spreading the collarbones, and extending through the spine. And then we'll exhale as we round through the spine, drawing the belly in, pressing through the hands and the knees. We inhale again, drawing the eyes up, lengthening the spine, arching the lower back, lifting the chest, shoulders back. And then exhale as we round the spine, tucking the chin in, looking down between the knees, getting as much rounding through the spine as we can. As you go through the motions, root into the hands and the fingertips, press into the shins and the feet. Really feel for the limbs to support the motion of the spine. We'll continue in this way and we'll do 7 to 10 repetitions. Nice and slowly, really trying to maximize the amount of feeling we can generate. Once we've done our repetitions of open and close, we'll begin to move through some segmented movements. So still the same motion, but now as I move into my cat motion, I begin by tucking the tailbone, and then I use the tuck of the tailbone to facilitate movement into the lumbar spine, which helps it flex, which helps to facilitate the middle of the spine, the thoracic spine to flex, and then the top and the neck. And to come back, we do the opposite. I create an anterior tilt in the pelvis. And then anterior tilt feeds extension into the lower back. That extension in the lower back feeds into the thoracic spine. And from the thoracic spine, that extension feeds into the neck. And we continue in this motion, extension and flexion, and really trying to connect to each and every single vertebra in the spine, or each and every single facet. If you consider there's 26 vertebrae in the spine, can you speak to each and every one? For this exercise, the breathing is just easy and relaxed. And aiming to get as much feeling through each space as possible. We'll do 3 to 5 repetitions, moving up and down the spine, before moving on to our first standing exercise. The first standing exercise is a hand slide, a basic hand slide with the feet hip-width distance apart. And we're just bending the knees, flexing at the ankles, and then flexing through the spine. The hands slide down the inner thighs towards the insides of the knees. The eyes look down towards the floor. And then to come back out, we press through the feet, which extends the knees and creates extension and lift through the torso. To sync the breath, we'll inhale as we rise, and we'll exhale as we round down. For this exercise, we'll do 10 to 15 repetitions. Aim to stay strong in the feet as you move and generating a lot of pressure through the feet. Round back through the spine and shift the body weight back into the heels. Draw the belly in as you round down. Press through the feet, engage the legs as you lift up. Once we've completed about 15 repetitions of this basic hand slide, we'll move into a second variation where we'll start to explore waves. So our first wave form is a diving crest. We'll round through the spine just as we did in the initial hand slide, but when the hands meet the knees, we'll slide across the fronts of the knees to the outsides of the thighs and then up towards the fronts of the hips. So we go down around the knees and then lift up. So we're creating a diving, waving action through the body. The head looks down as we go down, and as the hands meet the knees, the eyes begin to lift, and that generates extension in the spine, creating a lift in the chest and opening up the body. Once again, remaining active through the legs, establishing relationships between the head, the pelvis, and the feet. Really using the legs to support and stabilize the entire frame, entire structure. And aiming to make the legs work, so really pushing the feet into the floor as you move. To sync the breath here, we'll exhale on the way down and inhale on the way up. And again, we'll be working through 10 to 15 repetitions of this exercise before we start preparing for the second wave variation, which is an open wave. And the open wave starts from exactly the same position. We're just reversing the motion. So what we'll do with the open wave is we'll bend the knees and lower down through a type of squat. The hands will move from the outsides of the thighs to the knees, and as they meet the knees, the body will round through flexion as we rise to standing. So bending the knees, hips back into a strong squat, hands touch the knees, eyes drop, and the spine flexes as we rise back and up. Aiming to keep a smooth rhythmic motion, continuously flowing from one wave to the next, and then aiming to synchronize the breath. So full breath to the full motion. So as we go down, we're inhaling, opening up the chest and expanding the lungs. And as we round, we're exhaling, really trying to push air out of the lungs and rise with strength. We'll move through 10 to 15 repetitions of this exercise, continuously moving fluidly from one wave to the next, really trying to remain connected to the legs throughout the exercise. So establishing that relationship between eyes and feet and allowing the spine to respond. And once we have gone through our repetitions, we can prepare ourselves for the final exercise in the sequence, which is a standing helix. And for the helix, you'll begin by standing with the feet hip-width distance apart and hands on either sides of the thighs. You'll slowly draw the eyes down and slide one hand towards the inside of your knee. And as you draw that hand to the knee, you're going to round through the spine and twist the gaze. We'll then rise through the legs, pressing up through the legs, and rotate the eyes up and over the shoulder. So we're bringing the lead hand down to the inside of the knee, and we're drawing the trail hand to the back of the opposite knee. So we're creating a helix through the middle of the body, and it's an ascending helix on the way up and a descending helix on the way down. We're driving through the feet, once again really using the legs to help to support and facilitate the motion, and staying with that relationship of feet to eyes. At the top of the motion, really squeeze the thighs, draw up on the thigh muscles, try to engage the knees, keep them strong. On the way down, aim to have the knees facing relatively straight forward. And your aim is to see if you can make your spine match that helical shape. And we'll travel through 10 to 15 repetitions on each side. Really moving nice and slow, getting a firm pressure of the palm against the thighs, feeling the way that the hands travel along the thighs and how that supports and aids the motion that we're trying to facilitate. And once again, synchronizing the breath, we'll exhale on the way down on the descending helix, and we'll inhale on the way up through that ascending helix.